Stephen Hawking's life is one of those rare narratives where science, resilience, and mystery intertwine in ways that leave us contemplating the very fabric of our existence. Imagine a young man born in 1942 on the very same date, Galileo. Galilei, one of the founders of modern physics, passed away. This extraordinary coincidence wasn't just a random fact, it was a signal of things to come, a legacy that would shake the world of science forever. A physicist with a mind that could penetrate the deepest, most uncharted parts of the universe, Hawking became one of the most influential figures of our time. Growing up, Hawking was no ordinary child. His family was academic, deeply steeped in the world of intellectual pursuit, but Hawking's life was anything but conventional. His mother was a scholar in philosophy and political economy, and his father was a medical expert. With both parents immersed in intellectual thought, young Stephen was raised in an environment that didn't merely value knowledge, but thirsted for it. And yet, despite being surrounded by this brilliance, he wasn't content with the standard learning offered by his school, or even the University of Oxford, where he would later study. He found the curriculum too simple, and rather than conforming to it, he became known for challenging and critiquing the very textbooks used in academia. This is the man who would, just a few years later, redefine what we know about the universe. But fate wasn't done with him. At just 21, Hawking was struck with a diagnosis that many would have found devastating: ALS, or Lou Gehrig's disease. Doctors gave him 2 to 3 years to live. For most, this would have been a death sentence, a final blow to any dreams or ambitions. But for Stephen, it was just the beginning. He didn't let the disease define him. Instead, he soared higher, his mind sharper than ever. He continued to dive deeper into the mysteries of the universe, writing some of the most revolutionary papers in physics, and still had time to publish one of the most successful science books in history, A Brief History of Time. Now, let's talk about the theory that forever changed our understanding of black holes. In 1974, Hawking made a startling discovery. Until then, black holes were considered to be completely dark, with nothing escaping their gravitational pull, not even light. But Hawking's theory of Hawking radiation proposed that black holes could emit energy. He showed that, through the principles of quantum mechanics, black holes actually radiated particles, meaning they weren't entirely black after all. This discovery made him a household name in the scientific community and turned black holes from a mysterious anomaly into a subject of widespread fascination. But Hawking wasn't just satisfied with unraveling the mysteries of space. As he became more globally recognized, his vision expanded to the very future of humanity. He turned his attention to pressing issues like climate change, resource depletion, and artificial intelligence, predictions that would leave us staring into an uncertain and, frankly, terrifying future. Hawking warned that Earth's climate could drastically change by 2032. His research pointed to the growing greenhouse effect, and he raised alarms about how quickly our planet was warming. What would happen, he asked, if Earth started to resemble Venus, where temperatures reached over 250 degrees C, acid rain poured down, and no life could survive? This wasn't just a warning, it was a call to action, urging the world to face the reality of climate change head-on before it became irreversible. And that was just the beginning. As Hawking pondered the future, he saw a world where humanity might no longer have a place to call home. By 2060, with the planet ravaged by overpopulation, resource scarcity, and environmental destruction, he predicted humanity would need to find another planet to colonize. His suggestion? The Alpha Centauri system, our closest star system, which could provide a new home for us, if only we invested seriously in space exploration and colonization. But Hawking's predictions didn't stop there. Perhaps the most chilling of all was his view on artificial intelligence. Unlike many who feared AI would rebel against humanity, Hawking's concern was more pragmatic. What if AI didn't necessarily hate humans, but simply had its own goals? He used an example where we might build a dam, not intending to destroy an anthill, but in the process, we inadvertently do so. Similarly, an AI with its own objectives might unintentionally lead to human extinction. This was a new type of fear, one based on logic, not emotion. And while we're talking about unforeseen consequences, let's not forget his terrifying prediction about genetically engineered superhumans. With advances in CRISPR technology, it's now possible to modify genes, enhancing intelligence, strength, and lifespan. Hawking warned that such enhancements could create a class divide, a divide so extreme that those who remained genetically unmodified would be marginalized or worse. The most apocalyptic of Hawking's predictions, however, painted a picture of Earth's final days. He believed that by the year 2600, if humanity continued its unchecked consumption of resources and population growth, the planet would become a burning furnace, literally. The Earth, unable to support the weight of human activity, would collapse in on itself, leaving behind a desolate, inhospitable wasteland. To some, these prophecies may have seemed extreme or fantastical, but remember, these predictions came from a mind that had calculated the very workings of the universe itself. And in those calculations, he saw the trajectory of humanity, its weaknesses, its tendencies, and the potential consequences of its actions. But even with these grim predictions, Hawking never lost his sense of wonder and intellectual curiosity. He didn't just seek answers to complex scientific questions. He delved into deeper, more existential queries about the universe's origins, the nature of time, and even the existence of a divine creator. In Part 2, we'll dive deeper into Hawking's perspective on the universe, his views on God, and the philosophical implications of his scientific discoveries. Stay tuned as we unravel more of Stephen Hawking's legacy. As we dive deeper into Stephen Hawking's extraordinary life, we begin to see a man whose understanding of the universe wasn't just confined to the realms of physics. It stretched into philosophy, theology, and even the nature of human existence. As a young man, Hawking was not only steeped in the scientific methods of inquiry, but also in the philosophical musings that helped shape his views on the cosmos. He wasn't just looking for the how of things, he sought to understand the why. One of the most fascinating aspects of Hawking's career was his relationship with religion, or rather, his rejection of it. Though born into a Christian family, Hawking quickly veered away from traditional religious views as he ventured deeper into the laws of physics. The more he explored the nature of space, time, and gravity, the more he found himself at odds with the idea of a divine creator. In his groundbreaking work, The Grand Design, Hawking clearly articulated his belief that the universe was not created by God. Instead, he proposed that the universe could be fully explained by the laws of physics without the need for a supernatural creator. He argued that the universe could have come into existence through natural processes, driven by the laws of physics themselves. His argument was simple yet profound. He pointed to Einstein's famous equation, E to mc2, which shows the relationship between mass and energy. From this, Hawking explained that the universe could have been born from a Big Bang, a sudden, explosive expansion of space. In his view, the Big Bang created both positive and negative energy in equal measure, resulting in a balance that allowed the universe to exist. For Hawking, this balance of positive and negative energy meant that the universe could arise from nothing, without the need for a creator. This perspective on the universe's origins closely mirrored concepts found in ancient Eastern philosophy, like the yin and yang, where opposing forces exist in harmony to sustain balance. Hawking's explanation of negative energy, a concept vital to understanding the universe's creation, gave a scientific grounding to ideas that had been part of human thinking for centuries. As revolutionary as this view was, it also stirred significant controversy, particularly among those who held strong religious beliefs. For them, the idea that the universe came into being by natural laws, without the involvement of a divine force, was difficult to accept. Yet for Hawking, this wasn't an attack on religion. It was an attempt to answer one of humanity's most profound questions through the lens of science. But his philosophical views didn't stop there. Hawking wasn't merely content with answering questions about the origin of the universe. He also pondered the nature of time itself. For most people, time is something that simply is. It flows, it moves, it's a constant. But Hawking dared to ask what existed before time began. In his most daring work, Hawking proposed that before the Big Bang, time itself didn't exist. This was a concept that shook conventional thinking. In his view, time as we know it only started with the Big Bang. There was no before the Big Bang because time had not yet begun. This idea was as mind-bending as it was profound. If time didn't exist before the Big Bang, then the traditional notion of a creator being outside of time and creating the universe became irrelevant. According to Hawking, there was no before to begin with. There was simply the universe, as it is. This radical approach to understanding time and the origins of the universe wasn't just a theory for Hawking. It was a direct challenge to the idea of a creator who existed beyond time. It raised the question, if there was no before, how could there have been a divine being to create anything? This was the heart of Hawking's challenge to traditional religious thought. Despite his rejection of a creator, Hawking's work was deeply spiritual in its own way. His view of the universe was not one of cold, lifeless mechanisms. It was a universe that had a deep intrinsic order, an order governed by the laws of physics. For Hawking, the beauty of the universe was found in its complexity, in its precise and often surprising balance. The universe, in his view, was not a random collection of events, but a vast interconnected system driven by laws that could be understood through science. This led Hawking to explore one of the most significant questions of all. Is there meaning to existence? While many might turn to religion or philosophy for answers, Hawking turned to science. He didn't have a grand vision of a divine purpose for humanity, but he did believe that the pursuit of knowledge, the quest to understand the universe, was a noble endeavor. In a sense, Hawking's life was a testament to the human desire to know and to understand, even in the face of overwhelming obstacles. And despite his complex views on religion and time, Hawking remained deeply connected to humanity. He wasn't some cold, detached intellectual. He was a man who had experienced the limitations of the human body firsthand. ALS had confined him to a wheelchair and robbed him of the ability to speak. Yet, his mind remained as sharp as ever, and he continued to make contributions that would shape the future of science. In the late 1980s, after a battle with pneumonia that nearly killed him, Hawking's condition worsened. He lost the ability to speak and had to rely on a special computer system to communicate through his cheek. This, however, did not stop him. He continued to deliver lectures, write books, and make groundbreaking discoveries in the field of cosmology. The loss of his voice didn't silence him, it amplified his message. His struggle with ALS only made his achievements all the more remarkable. In A Brief History of Time, Hawking famously made complex scientific concepts accessible to the general public. His book wasn't just about black holes and quantum mechanics. It was about understanding our place in the universe. It was a guide for the layperson to see the universe not as an abstract, distant concept, but as something that could be understood, explored, and marveled at. Hawking's ability to bridge the gap between science and the general public was extraordinary. He made the impossible seem possible and brought the universe to our doorstep in a way that no one had ever done before. His work wasn't just for the scientists in labs or universities. It was for anyone who wondered about the mysteries of life and the universe. In Part 3, we will examine Hawking's more chilling predictions for humanity's future and consider whether his insights could be a call to action or merely a reflection of our fears. Stay tuned as we delve into his warnings about artificial intelligence, genetic modification, and the future of Earth itself. Now that we've journeyed through Stephen Hawking's mind and explored his revolutionary ideas on the universe, it's time to face the more unsettling aspect of his legacy, the predictions he made about the future of humanity. These weren't just wild speculations or sci-fi fantasies. They were grounded in the same rigorous science that had earned him worldwide acclaim. Hawking's predictions were based on data, logic, and a clear-eyed analysis of the trajectory humanity was following. And perhaps that's what makes them so chilling. They seemed entirely plausible. Let's start with the most immediate concern he raised: climate change. While many scientists had long been warning about the devastating effects of global warming, Hawking's predictions were particularly dire. By the year 2032, he warned that Earth could be plunged into a new ice age. The greenhouse effect, which traps heat in the atmosphere, was already causing temperatures to rise at an alarming rate. But what Hawking foresaw was a tipping point, a chain reaction of climate events that could send the planet into an irreversible glacial cycle. It's easy to dismiss these warnings when we hear about them in the abstract. But consider this. In 2023, scientists reported that the world's ice sheets were melting faster than ever, with the Arctic experiencing record temperatures and the polar ice caps shrinking at an unprecedented rate. If we continue on this path, Hawking's prediction of a new ice age might not be as far-fetched as we hope. What would this new ice age look like? According to Hawking, Earth could start to resemble Venus, our sister planet. Venus, with its scorching temperatures up to 250 degrees, ceaseless acid rain and a thick toxic atmosphere, is a place where life is simply not possible. If climate change spirals out of control, we could find ourselves in a similarly hostile environment. Ecosystems would collapse, weather patterns would become unpredictable, and human civilization, as we know it, would be in jeopardy. It's a scenario that's frighteningly plausible if we don't act quickly to mitigate the damage we're already seeing. But climate change wasn't the only existential threat Hawking warned about. He also predicted that, by the year 2060, humanity would be forced to leave Earth. This wasn't just some apocalyptic fantasy, it was a prediction based on a simple fact. We are using up Earth's resources at an unsustainable rate. The rapid growth of the human population, combined with the depletion of natural resources and widespread environmental damage, meant that Earth simply wouldn't be able to sustain us forever. Hawking wasn't advocating for us to abandon Earth lightly. Rather, he saw it as a necessity. If humanity wanted to survive beyond the next century, we would have to become an interplanetary species. The most obvious candidate for this migration, according to Hawking, was the Alpha Centauri system, the closest star system to Earth. He urged scientists and governments to begin investing in space exploration technologies so that we could one day colonize another planet. The idea of interplanetary colonization might seem like something out of a science fiction novel, but it's becoming increasingly plausible. In recent years, private companies like SpaceX and Blue Origin have made significant strides toward making space travel more accessible. While colonizing another planet is still a long way off, Hawking's prediction serves as a sobering reminder that humanity's future on Earth isn't guaranteed. If we don't act now, we might one day find ourselves searching the stars for a new home. But perhaps the most terrifying of Hawking's predictions was the rise of artificial intelligence. Unlike many who feared that AI would rebel or turn against humanity, Hawking's concern was much more insidious. What if AI simply had different goals from ours? In one of his most chilling warnings, he pointed out that if we build a dam, for example, we might not intend to destroy an anthill, but if the dam's construction interferes with the ant's environment, that's exactly what happens. Similarly, an AI with objectives that don't align with human values could inadvertently destroy us. This wasn't just an abstract fear, it was a logical conclusion based on the rapid progress of AI development. Hawking believed that the real danger of AI wasn't that it would become malicious, but that it would simply be indifferent to human survival. If AI becomes powerful enough, it could make decisions that are detrimental to humanity without ever meaning to. This was a future where our creations might outgrow our control, leading to a world where we no longer had a say in our own fate. The idea of AI as an existential threat has become more relevant than ever in recent years. With advancements in machine learning, natural language processing, and robotics, AI is rapidly becoming an integral part of our lives. While the technology holds incredible potential for good, Hawking's warning about the dangers of unchecked AI should make us pause and reconsider how we develop and control these systems. Hawking's final prediction was perhaps the most chilling of all, the rise of genetically modified superhumans. In a future where gene editing technologies like CRISPR become commonplace, he feared that humanity would split into two distinct classes, those who were genetically enhanced and those who weren't. The genetically enhanced would be stronger, smarter and longer lived, while those who remained genetically unmodified would be pushed to the margins of society, or worse, eliminated altogether. This wasn't some dystopian fantasy, it was a realistic possibility. The ability to alter the human genome is already within our grasp. While many see gene editing as a way to cure diseases, Hawking saw it as a potential Pandora's box. Once genetic enhancements become available, the social and ethical implications could be profound. A future where the rich and powerful could afford to genetically modify their children, while the poor remain left behind, could lead to a world of unprecedented inequality. It's a future where the divide between the haves and the have-nots could become even more pronounced, with the genetically enhanced ruling over those who are left behind. And then, of course, there's the ultimate catastrophe that Hawking predicted, the end of Earth itself. By the year 2600, Hawking believed that if humanity continued down its current path of overconsumption, unchecked population growth, and environmental degradation, Earth would become uninhabitable. The planet would become a blazing fireball, a furnace where no life could survive. This wasn't just a worst-case scenario. It was a logical conclusion based on the way humanity was exploiting the planet's resources. These predictions might seem bleak, even apocalyptic, but they come from a mind that understood the delicate balance of the universe and the fragility of human civilization. For all the wonders of technology and progress, Hawking's warnings remind us that we are not invincible. If we fail to heed these warnings, we may find ourselves facing the consequences that Hawking so clearly outlined. In Part 4, we'll look at Hawking's enduring legacy, the lessons we can learn from his life and work, and the challenges we face as we move forward. Stay with us as we explore the final chapter of Stephen Hawking's remarkable story. As we reach the final chapter of Stephen Hawking's story, we come face to face with the lasting impact he has had on science, philosophy, and humanity as a whole. For all of his extraordinary predictions about the future, the most profound lesson we can take from Hawking's life is not simply the warnings he issued, but the way in which he faced the challenges of life and death itself. He showed the world that no matter the obstacles, the human mind could rise above them and push the boundaries of what was once thought impossible. Hawking's legacy is built not just on his theories about black holes, the Big Bang, and the EI's nature of the universe, but also on his ability to transcend his physical limitations. After being diagnosed with ALS at 21, doctors gave him only a few years to live. But instead of succumbing to despair, Hawking defied expectations, living with the disease for more than 50 years, an extraordinary feat in itself. In doing so, he demonstrated a remarkable resilience that resonated deeply with millions of people around the world. His ability to continue his work, even as his body failed him, is a testament to his indomitable will. Despite losing the ability to speak and move, Hawking continued to communicate with the world through a computer system that allowed him to select words using the movement of his cheek. His mechanical voice, though robotic, became his signature, a symbol of his refusal to be silenced by the very disease that had robbed him of so much. He didn't just want to understand the universe, he wanted to share that understanding with everyone. In many ways, Hawking's work wasn't just about the abstract equations and theories that reshaped our understanding of space and time. It was about making the universe accessible to everyone. Through books like A Brief History of Time, he bridged the gap between the scientific community and the general public, making complex topics like black holes, quantum mechanics, and the origins of the universe comprehensible to millions. His work was a demonstration of the power of human curiosity, a call to each of us to ask questions, challenge the status quo, and never stop seeking answers. But Hawking's legacy isn't just intellectual, it's deeply human. Despite his brilliant mind, he remained humble and approachable. He didn't see himself as a detached genius above the rest of us. Rather, he saw science as a way to connect us all. His legacy is a reminder that the pursuit of knowledge isn't about personal glory. It's about understanding the world around us and sharing that understanding with others. Hawking's influence extended far beyond the world of academia. He became a global icon, not just for his scientific achievements, but for his ability to overcome tremendous adversity and continue to inspire. His story was one of triumph over the most difficult of circumstances, and that made him relatable to millions of people around the world. He wasn't just a scientist, he was a symbol of hope for those facing their own struggles. His life proved that, even in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenges, the human spirit can prevail. In the years since his death in 2018, Hawking's work and his message continue to inspire new generations of scientists, thinkers, and everyday people. His warnings about climate change, artificial intelligence, and the future of humanity are more relevant than ever. But his message was not one of doom and gloom. It was a call to action. He urged us to recognize the fragility of our existence and to take responsibility for the future of our planet. Today, we find ourselves at a crossroads. Climate change, overpopulation, and technological advancements are all pressing challenges that we must confront. In many ways, we are living through the very scenarios Hawking predicted. The climate crisis is no longer a distant threat. It's here, and it's affecting millions of lives around the world. Artificial intelligence is advancing at a pace that many never imagined, and the potential for both good and harm is immense. And with each passing day, we see the effects of our environmental exploitation and resource depletion. The future Hawking warned about may be closer than we think. But there is hope. Just as Hawking defied the odds and overcame the challenges of his own life, we have the power to confront the challenges facing humanity today. We have the technology, the knowledge, and the ability to make a difference. But it's going to take a collective effort, one that involves not just scientists and governments, but each and every one of us. It's going to take a willingness to change, to think differently, and to work together to ensure a better future. Hawking's life was a reminder that our time on Earth is limited and that we must make the most of it. He didn't just want us to understand the universe, he wanted us to understand our place within it. His greatest contribution may not have been his groundbreaking scientific theories, but the way in which he showed us that, even in the face of great adversity, we can make a difference. As we move forward, let us remember Hawking's example. Let us remember the importance of curiosity, resilience, and the relentless pursuit of knowledge. Let us take his warnings seriously and act to ensure that we leave behind a planet capable of sustaining future generations. And perhaps most importantly, let us never stop asking questions. Because, as Stephen Hawking once said, the greatest enemy of knowledge is not ignorance, it is the illusion of knowledge. So, what can we take away from this? It's simple. The future of humanity is in our hands. Just as Hawking changed the way we look at the universe, we have the power to change the way we shape our world. The question is, will we act in time?